What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this video is a review of Extinction from ARK Survival Ascended in my personal opinion. We'll briefly touch on Bob's Tall Tales later in the video, and feel free to politely agree or disagree in the comments below. So without further ado, let's jump into this comprehensive review. So to start with the positives, Extinction definitely gives off vibes of an apocalyptic event occurring on Earth, as it's the first map to not take place on an ARK, but on a planet. You can tell by the overgrown foliage in the sanctuary, the barren appearance of the wasteland, forbidden zone, and sulfur fields, and the fact that there are dozens and dozens of corrupted creatures and AI roaming around compared to your traditional tames. The only exception is the sunken forest, which effectively produces sort of like an aberration feel to it and doesn't have corrupt life, but it still feels off in a sense. But second is Extinction's introduction of defense minigames that present players with a new challenge that's filled with great rewards if they succeed. Between the element veins and orbital supply drops, players can quickly obtain incredible loot, dozens, possibly hundreds of element if farmed effectively, and tame the brand new Dreadnoughtus, a community voted creature that has come with a somewhat mixed to positive reception. For me personally, Dreadnoughtus is a sauropod worth taming, given its ability to smite the titans of Extinction and anything else standing in its way. The only negative about Dreadnoughtus is its slow attacks, but what it lacks in speed it more than makes up for in melee. Thousands of hit points can be depleted, and a one-hit KO can take out even the most heavily armed survivors. Next is the incredible change of weather events on Extinction. Similar to Scorched Earth, Extinction has weather events, or should I say a weather event, and this event is a meteor shower that was showcased earlier in this video. And those meteor showers are absolutely catastrophic. And unless you're in the sunken forest, the ice dome, the desert dome, or the sanctuary, you can be easily turned into a pile of dust by one of those meteors. They will vaporize you. But also, let's get back to the Titans. Extinction has 4 kaiju available to fight, 3 of which are tameable. The Ice Titan, Forest Titan, and Desert Titan can be farmed for loot or tamed to fight against the King Titan, the ruler of Extinction. So much so is he the ruler that he now periodically wanders around the wasteland for a brief period of time in ASA, as opposed to an ASE when that did not happen, which allows players an opportunity to take him down for a world buff, from breeding buffs to fortitude buffs, and so on. And when fighting him for the Ascension, players will have an hour to defeat him before he despawns, be it single player, multiplayer, what have you. Official, unofficial, non-dedicated. And then lastly is the presence of the gotchas. These very bizarre creatures generate random materials when they have items to eat in their inventory, which are traditionally stone and unwanted loot, like primitive weapons and armor, and expel materials through gotcha crystals, allowing you to create an easily accessible farm of black pearls, oil, flint, pelt, etc. in your base. Now, like all maps, Extinction does have its negatives. First of all is the challenge with finding high level tames, which is known for which ARK story maps are known for this. And even though it's not as bad as the island, it is much worse than Aberration and Scorched Earth. It is very difficult to find high level creatures on Extinction. So if you want something that's high level, you're gonna need to invest time in searching for that something that's high level. Second is that sometimes the OSDs, the orbital supply drops, don't always eject their items, especially legendary OSDs, because they allow you to fight as many waves of corrupt creatures as you want, but they don't always present the prompt to eject items whenever you've decided you're done defending it, which can be very annoying because you'll have to abandon that OSD and you won't get any of that loot. Another issue is when you are defending OSDs and element veins, creatures will not always show up, so you'll be ready to defend something and they'll never show up. And even though an announcement was made that the last 5 creatures now have little indicators around them, those indicators are very, very hard to see. They're a very, very light shade of blue. And it's practically invisible unless you're right in their face. Yeah. But the last negative, or actually 2 more negatives. Number 1 are the enforcers, which you just saw on screen. They are not as tough as you would want them to be. You want them to be a little tougher, but they're not. It's not a huge negative, though, in my opinion. I just wish they were a tiny bit tougher. But the last one is to trap tame Managarms. In ASE, the net guns from Genesis Part 2 were able to be used on Extinction, making Managarm taming easier than creating complex taming pins that the ice jumpers couldn't bug out and jump out of. So it's back to winging it with the taming pins until we eventually get the net guns again, which will be in 2026. Those guys right there breathing on us, they are a pain in the butt to tame if you do not have them in a taming pen, and getting them in a taming pen is a pain in the butt. So yeah, that's the last negative. But for the mix, there are a few things that I have mixed. First of all, Bob's Tall Tales is always mixed. And especially Wasteland Wars has faced a lot of criticism, given that the vehicles aren't functioning that well. And even though Bob's Tall Tales has faced criticism in the past, the vehicle issues have really, really driven that criticism even further. And, you know, the issues are still ongoing, which is unfortunate. But another mixed perspective, Armadago right there on the screen, coincidentally enough. And the reason the Armadago is mixed, the reason I'm personally not too much of a fan of it, it's really cool, but it doesn't have the perks I was expecting from a companion. It dies way too easily, and I just cannot manage to have an Armadago as a companion because it gets hit a couple times, even though it's leveled up really well. It gets smacked a couple times, it dies and buries itself in the ground for an hour. And that is, yeah, I don't like that. So I stopped having my Armadago as a companion because I felt the utility I was getting from it wasn't sufficient enough. And then, of course, lastly, we're returning to the gotchas of the Sunken Forest. This is just a mixed thing because it has been worked on. I've still noticed it's a tiny bit of an issue, but it's not as bad as it was. Is the difficulty of finding gotchas. And they spawn more often, but it's still kind of challenging as they take quite a bit of time to spawn in, whereas other creatures, when you go to the sunken forest, like raptors, beavers, parasaurs, etc., already spawned in and active. And like I said, it's not significant enough to warrant a negative because it has been fixed, but still takes a little time, so it still can be a bit frustrating. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my review of Extinction. And overall, Extinction is getting an 8.5 out of 10 from me because of how unique this map is compared to its predecessors. It's the first map to not take place on an ARK. It's the first one to take place on planet Earth. And yeah, despite its flaws, I still really enjoy Extinction. And I really enjoy the King Titan boss fight. It's kind of fun. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah, also Bob's Tall Tales has no effect on my rating, as I know that not everyone owns the expansion. Yeah, I just say that with every video, just to make it clear that everyone's like, oh, you're influenced by Bob's Tall Tales. That's not the case. I don't care how good or bad Bob's Tall Tales is. I rate the map based on the map, not based on an expansion that's added to it. So, yeah, but that's going to do it for this map review of Extinction. So, do you want to see me review and rate more maps on ARK Survival Ascended? Subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. We'll be doing a comprehensive review of all ARK Survival Ascended maps as they continue to release. The next one will be a review on Astraeos in its current condition, and that video will be out very soon. So I'll see you in the next video, survivors.